Presenting that caliph of clowns, that mogul of mountebanks, the one and only Joker!
He's perhaps the most famous villain in all of comics history, the Joker, and it looks like we'll be getting a new take on the Clown Prince of Crime eventually on Fox's new Gotham TV series. So let's take a look back at the Joker and his long history as the Batman's arch nemesis. As always, we've got spoilers from the comics here. Here's everything you need to know about the Joker.
And here we go.
The true story of who actually created the Joker seems to be lost to history. Late Batman co-creator Bob Kane claimed that he had come up with the villain, along with his fellow creator Bill Finger. Meanwhile, Kane's assistant from that period, Jerry Robinson, who would go on to become a major player in comics himself, insisted that the Joker was primarily his and Finger's invention, inspired by a deck of cards. Kane and Robinson did agree, however, that the character's stricken and horrific face was based on the appearance of actor Conrad Veidt from the 1928 film The Man Who Laughs, though even here there is some debate. Finger said that he based the Joker on this equally creepy, smiling ad from the old Steeplechase Park in Coney Island. Whatever the case, we can agree that the Dark Knight's ultimate foe first appeared in Batman #1 in 1940. Here he arrived pretty much fully formed as the nightmarish clown we know today, murdering Gotham City citizens with his Joker toxin, which left their corpses with a sick smile on their faces, a hideous reminder of their killer. Through it all, Joker taunted Batman and the police, even broadcasting his victims' names and times of death in advance. In fact, the Joker was originally designed to die in his first issue, accidentally stabbed by his own hand. But editor Whitney Ellsworth saw potential in the character and arranged for a last-minute reprieve, adding a final panel to the story that suggested the Joker had lived. And indeed he did live, very quickly becoming the main villain in the increasingly popular Batman comics. He also served as a template for many of the colorful Bat villains that would follow, creatures whose own peculiar personalities centered on one particular fixation: comedy, penguins, cats, riddles, and so on and so on. As for the Joker's origin story, well, he doesn't have one. Or he has many, depending on how you look at it. One of the most brilliant aspects of the character's depiction is how no definitive origin exists for him. Even he doesn't seem to remember the truth. As the Joker says in Alan Moore's acclaimed 1988 graphic novel The Killing Joke, "Sometimes I remember it one way, sometimes another. If I'm going to have a past, I prefer it to be multiple choice." But still, certain elements of his creation frequently recur when the tale is told. He was a normal guy, possibly a failed comedian or a low-level gangster, who became a criminal known as the Red Hood. But a fall into a vat of toxic chemicals inevitably resulted in his transformation, his scarred visage, and his insanity. The Joker was born. And while the early Joker was as dark and diabolical as they come, it didn't take long for the character, and the Batman comics in general, to ease into much more family-friendly and safe territory. By the 1950s, Dr. Frederick Wertham's book Seduction of the Innocent and the anti-comics witch hunt that followed led to the creation of the Comics Code Authority. There was no room for homicidal maniacs in comics now. The Joker was more clown than killer now, a wacky prankster designed to fit in with the rest of the over-the-top insanity of comics' Silver Age. In fact, by 1964, the Joker was being used in the comics less and less, but he lived on the small screen, where Cesar Romero brought his colorful and cartoonish Joker to life on the Batman TV show. This was the character's first live-action incarnation, but certainly not his last. And the disturbed and homicidal Joker finally did return in the mid-1970s, courtesy of writer Denny O'Neil and artist Neil Adams, who had also revived Batman himself as the leaner, meaner Dark Knight detective that we know today. The Joker even got his own short-lived series during this period. It would be variations on this damaged and dark version of the Clown Prince of Crime that have persisted in the decades since. His depravity has been highlighted in books like Frank Miller's classic The Dark Knight Returns, Moore's Killing Joke, where he crippled the former Batgirl Barbara Gordon, the storyline A Death in the Family, which saw him murder the second Robin, and all the way up to the more recent and truly disturbing interpretations of the character by writers such as Grant Morrison and Scott Snyder. Through it all, the core of the Joker and Batman's dynamic has grown and evolved. One's the yin to the other's yang, a twisted love affair between opposites. Perhaps Heath Ledger's Joker said it best.
No, you complete me. You're garbage. You kills for money.
This and many other elements of these stories have found their way to the big and small screen adaptations of the character, which in turn have fed back into how the Joker is depicted on the page. Jack Nicholson, Mark Hamill, and Ledger have each brought a unique spin to the Joker, proving that he remains as viable and compelling as he was in 1940. And presumably, the Joker will live on to haunt the Batman for many more years to come.
I think you and I are destined to do this forever.
You'll be in a better jail forever.
Maybe we could share one.